Assalamu alaikum, dear students. As you know, we are discussing democracy, political science, and in political science, we are studying the chapter what is democracy, why democracy. Yesterday, we discussed about democracy, what democracy means, what are the forms of government in which we see monarchy, uh, dictatorship, military rule, and democracy. About democracy, we discussed many things like it must be based on free and fair elections because there are so many countries which are claiming to be democracies, but they are not. Actually, they are not democracies. Their claim to being democracy is not fulfilled by the criteria of its features. So today we will discuss what are the features of democracy, what are those features which ought to be fulfilled by our state in order to claim itself as a democracy, right? So the first feature of democracy is that major decisions are taken by elected leaders. In democracy, decisions are taken by elected leaders, unlike mm, that in military rule, dictatorship, or monarchy rule, decisions are taken by monarchy, decisions are taken by uh, kings. In dictatorship, the dictator itself, and in military rule, military officials. But in democracy, if decisions are not taken by elected leaders, then it cannot be called a pure democracy, a real democracy. So the first feature about democracy is that decisions are taken by elected leaders. Final decision making power must rest with those who are elected by people. If we take the example of Pakistan in 2009, in 1999, when Pervez Musharraf dismissed the democratic system, democratic government there, and became the president. First the chief executive, then president, and then the major decisions are taken by him. So in during his tenure, if the elected this parliament cannot take decisions, so that cannot be called a pure democracy, because we see in democracy major decisions are taken by elected leaders. If those elected by people cannot take final decisions, then it is not a pure democracy, real democracy. If the decisions are somehow affected by the army, by other people, and these elected representatives cannot take major final decisions, then it is not a democracy, a real democracy. So, the first feature for being a real democracy is that decisions must be taken by elected leaders. Now, moving on to the second feature of democracy, free and fair competition. I mean elections, because elections are the basis of democracy. जो democracy है इसका जो base है that depends upon elections. So these elections, if in a state elections are held, but the elections are not fair, there are malpractices, corrupt practices of dirty tactics of winning. So that cannot be called a real democracy. So in a real democracy, elections must be free and fair. If elections are not free and fair, then it is not democracy. If we take the example of China. There, the Communist Party of China is the major party, and other parties are neglected. This Communist Party of India is powerful enough that the candidates who want to contest election in China, they have to seek approval from the Communist Party of China. Is it the real choice? No, because the Parliament, National People's Congress, Parliament of China, Parliament of China, National People's Congress consists of 3,000 members, and these 3,000 members are approved by the Communist Party of China. So this parliament is a parliament of Communist Party because they have approved the contesting candidates, because the design is such that those who want to contest election in China needs prior approval from the Communist Party of China. So in democracy, there must be equal chance of losing the election. Free and fair competition means that those parties who win election after election and after that loses the election, then there must be equal chance of winning and equal chance of losing. If we take the example of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister of India for 2 consecutive terms, from 2004 to 14, the UP alliance. So he won 2 elections and lost the third one in 2014, while BJP, after winning the first election, wins the second election. So there must be equal chance of winning as well as losing the election. This Congress government, it ruled India for 10 years, and after 10 years they lose the election. Similarly, BJP ruled India only for 5 years, and after 5 years they won the election. Means ki elections must be free and fair. There must be equal chance of losing the election. In case of China, it is not like that, because the contesting candidates have to seek approval from the Communist Party of China. That means it's a unipower system, single party system in China. So people's choice is limited. There, the people are not expressing their choice in real terms, because, say for example, people want to elect a particular candidate, but the candidate is not provided this approval by the Communist Party of China. So can we call it a democracy? No. Similarly, if we go further and look at Mexico, the example of Mexico is also one that from 1930s onwards, a particular political party called the PRI, Institutional Revolutionary Party of Mexico. This party managed to win all the elections until 2002. How? It managed to win all elections by applying dirty tricks. Teachers of government schools forced people to vote for this party. Media persons glorified this party, provoked people to vote for this party because of their malpractices, money power, muscle power. So in Mexico, the elections were not free and fair, and in this way, it cannot be called a real democratic government. So, in democracy, elections must be free and fair. The second feature of democracy. If in a country elections are not free and fair, we cannot call that state as a democratic state. Although that can be called a democratic state by name, but indeed that is not democracy. In real terms, that cannot be called democracy. Holding elections is not sufficient. Holding elections is not sufficient for being a democracy. Elections must be based on free and fair competition. Elections must be free and fair. One more feature of this democracy is that there must be one vote, one person, one value. Means कि one person, one vote, one value. All the persons, all the citizens of a state have equal vote. One vote for all, and all the votes carry equal value. If the Prime Minister goes to a polling station, and in the same way an ordinary person goes to polling station, both have one vote, both contest, both cast their votes, and both persons' votes have one value. It means in democracy, irrespective of color, creed, status, this vote has one value. So, in democracies, in a real democracy, there is no denial of equal rights to vote. There is no denial of equal rights to vote. When we talk of equal rights to vote, it means all the people have rights. Besides, all people's votes carry equal value. As I give you the example of Prime Minister and an ordinary citizen, both the people have same value. Both the person's vote has same value. In the same way, all the people, all the persons must have voting rights. In some states, voting rights were denied to women. If we take the example of Saudi Arabia, until 2015, women were not having voting rights. They got voting rights in 2015. So, all the people, irrespective of their status, creed, color, religion, community, must have equal vote. And it is based on universal adult franchise, one of the most important feature of a democracy. It is an important feature because universal adult franchise is expressed as an political equality. Then there must be political equality. Similarly, if we take the example of Estonia, in Estonia, Russian minority is denied voting rights. So they hold elections, but that cannot be called the pure or the real democracy. Similarly, in Fiji, the Fiji citizens' vote has more value than the Indian Fiji. So we can see the discrimination, right? So today we see features of democracy that a state, in order to claim itself as a real democracy, must fulfill the criteria, that is the features of democracy. The first feature is decision making power must rest with the people. Major decisions are taken by elected leaders. Number second, free and fair competition. Those elected have a fair chance of losing. Right? Third one person, one vote, one value. Yani equality, political equality. All the people's votes have same value. And one more future is that we will discuss in the next lecture. Thank you very much.